Talk this.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your right side of the microphone host, Madelyn.
I'm your left side of the microphone host, Emma.
And it's all relative, because if you're looking at us, I'm actually your left side of the microphone host.
Yep.
I keep trying to say left side of the host microphone.
That also makes sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all. But we are trying our best here, folks. It has been a long weekend.
A real long weekend.
Greetings from the PAX at PAX.
Oh, PAX at PAX.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But, that took a bit. Sorry. Clearly it's been a long weekend. Hello from the other side.
The PAX cats.
Yes.
PAX.
I understand now.
It was an even better joke when I was packing to come here.
PAX for PAX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's better than most of my jokes on the show. So thanks for tuning in this week. We got a little bit of an unconventional side quest, not just because our brains are dripping out our ears. But we're going to shake up the formula just a bit this week. Don't worry, it's not a permanent change. We're not instituting SideQuest 6.0 or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
SideQuest 5.73 Deluxe Edition. It's a one-time, slightly different, but very much the same side quest here at PAX East.
Yes, so basically we're keeping the save data portion, but then using that to transition into just talking about PAX East, because we've shockingly played some games at PAX East.
Yes.
And that's all we're doing.
And
no segments.
To be honest, there's not much to report in the beep beep traffic report anyway, because we've been so busy prepping for this and just living life.
Did we mention our brains are coming out of our ears?
They're melting. Can you hear it dripping on the floor? Yikes. So let's stop making fun sound effects. We'll talk about that in more detail later in the episode, right?
Yeah.
So Emma, let's download some saved data here from the cloud. What have you been playing the last 2 weeks?
Well, outside of PAX East, just more Nier Automata, getting some recording done for Play This, which will be coming next 2 weeks of some sort. There's your traffic report. Just beep, 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 right through there. I think that's all I've played these past 2 weeks, though, is just Nier Automata. I can't think of anything else that I picked up. I have been resisting the temptation to buy Sekiro because I know that it will ruin me, and I don't want that. But it looks so tempting. I don't know. I want to also post the meme that literally everyone's posting of a moment when the enemy comes flying out of the sky and hits you and kills you. I've seen 5 people post the exact same moment from this game on Twitter so far.
I've only just returned to video game Twitter as a result of something I'll talk about in my save data, so I'm behind the times on the memes.
Well, I'll hold off on everything I played on PAX, so why don't you tell us what you've been playing outside of that?
All right, folks, buckle up.
Buckling in.
Get buckled. Buckle your gummy buckles, your gummy seatbelts, because it's time to talk Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep this spoiler-free.
Yeah. We're going to do a blog post on it.
We are going to do a more spoilery blog post that I have actually started.
Nice.
I think that traffic on the blog is going to explode in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
As I am house managing a show every night next week.
So she needs something to do.
So I need something to do. Yes, finally, and this was right at the beginning of these 2 weeks, I think, I finished Kingdom Hearts 3. Da da da.
Yeah, basically that's the right sound
or
effect.
I can't do the actual. I was gonna do the Olympus winning music.
Oh,
so I was we're the champs.
Yeah.
But that's copyrighted. But just it's let the fanfare play in your head, folks.
Yeah.
So yep, I finally finished it. Emma really misled me. I was playing it. I was in the final boss sequence, and I got to the very final boss.
Okay.
Wait, no, let me finish. I got to the very final boss, but Emma had told me there was like another like 3 hours of the game, and I'd only played another 45 minutes. And, you know, with the cutscenes, I get it, it probably comes to 2, but it was 12:30, and I was like, I can't, like, there's gonna be like 5 more bosses, I have to turn it off. But it was the last boss. It was okay, it gave me the opportunity, oh dear, this is a little bit of a, whatever, it gave me the opportunity to put better weapons on the character or characters in my party.
No, I mean, I told you it was like 3 hours from the point that you were, and it probably was like 2.5 to the end. I don't know, but you have to be aware that I played like the last 8 hours of the game, like all in a stretch. Sure. So my like ability to tell time was a little bit off, especially since I like skipped lunch, basically.
That's fair. You were also kind of off on the distance between save points. Oh, so yeah. I was a little bit thrown off.
Yeah.
It was probably still good. I think that was the day before the day that I teach a class at like 7:30 in the morning on an island. So it was probably good that I went to bed. But I did have to go back and replay a fair bit of the boss sequence, which is fine. Clickbait Boyfriend finished it too. Who's really the main person that I worry about spoiling on the show. You know? Like, he's the main person that I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
So I got to see it twice. Not really a spoiler to say he had strong feelings about it. Feel like that could be assumed.
Now you guys have to figure out what's next for Clickbait Boyfriend, though.
Well, what's next for Clickbait Boyfriend is me doing the Kingdom Hearts 3 Clickbait Boyfriend.
Yes, obviously, but...
But yeah, after that, it's, which will probably take me through our Japan trip at minimum.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Yeah.
So, like, around June, if people want to get me their Clickbait Boyfriend requests, we've had some good ones of, like, other Japanese-type series that are weird that I think would be good ones. Yakuza would be a good one. But some of the conceit of Clickbait Boyfriend is not the... Like, some of the conceit is the weird, like, JRPG-ness, makes no sense-ness of it all. But some of it is the, like, it was a game that was important to me.
Yeah.
So I need to mull it over. The direction the series is going to take.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the end of Clickbait Boyfriend. That would be really sad, though. That'd be really sad.
You can go on a bit of a hiatus, at least, you know.
I'll think about it. We'll go on a hiatus so we can work on our philosophy and video games YouTube series.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see, though. Or we'll go on a hiatus so I can do more original blog content that isn't just me farming Josh for cheap jokes.
Fair enough.
You know, it's tough. You gotta keep the balance in your relationship between intellectually stimulating blogs and blogs where you make fun of them for thinking that Daisy Duck is hot.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's really a balance. He's worried about that. He's worried about no, he's not worried, but he's, like, concerned about posting this YouTube series that he would like to actually share with people on a YouTube series where Clickbait Boyfriend videos exist.
Well, you could take them down, I guess.
I will have to think about it. I don't want to take them down. They're really funny. I think they're going to be great fodder for his students one day. It's really what you want as a professor. It's like some pretty harmless but like weird stuff about you online.
That's true. Just sell it to him like that.
And, like, kind of amusing. Like, students will think it's funny, embarrassing.
They'll
but not,
find
like,
that.
horrific.
They won't go digging any deeper, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh yeah, this gotta be the weirdest thing that professor is into.
Little do they know, his Instagram stories are nothing but metal memes. Nothing. But yeah, Emma and I have been talking about this game, and we'll talk about it more in the blog post, but overall, I mean, I really enjoyed it overall. I have some quibbles with the pacing of it, and just how the ending sequence plays out in terms of my preferences for Kingdom Hearts games. There were a lot of effective moments, there's certainly some shocking twists, etc., etc. I just might have liked it to play out a little bit differently. Also, the fact that Pete turned giant and ate everyone was weird. Wasn't that weird?
Anyway.
The fact that Clayton was one of the 13 Darknesses after all was really weird.
Anyway, we've also been at PAX.
We've played a bunch of games at PAX, some of which we were particularly interested in playing beforehand, some of which we played because there wasn't much of a line, and oh my gosh, it's gotten overwhelming on the expo floor.
Yeah.
Like, overwhelming.
Yeah.
We started out on Thursday. Emma played After Party
Yeah.
from Night School Studios, and I watched without sound,
Yeah.
which is okay. You can sort of follow that game without sound relatively well.
Yeah. So we actually talked about Oxenfree on like our second episode, I think, which is also by Night School Studios. So you can go back way down deep into the archives if you really want to hear us talk about Oxenfree. But I really liked Oxenfree. There were some things that had like little kinks that probably need to be worked out and stuff like that, and ways I thought it could be more effective. But overall, I really liked it, and I've been really excited about After Party and seeing what Night School wants to do next. So I really wanted to try the demo there, and I enjoyed it so far. I like there's like this drinking mechanic where like if you drink, you get certain effects that open up like new dialogue options, which I think has the potential to be really interesting in terms of like whether or not like drinks are a scarce resource in some areas and you have to choose when you want like more dialogue options, or if there's any disincentive to drinking, like if you can get yourself really drunk, which I managed to do because there's like a blood pong section because they're in hell. In case that I didn't mention that. I did. There's a blood pong section that was a little bit confusing control-wise, but neat concept-wise. And overall, I liked it. I liked it pretty good.
It seems to me like it's going to lean more towards the consequences for drinking too much than the scarcity of drinking.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, and this is where the demo cuts off, is to get you and your partner out of hell, you have to outdrink the devil.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's going to be more about building up your drinking tolerance.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I think it has a lot of potential. I'm curious to see, like, because right now I'm not seeing the disincentive to drinking. Like, it's just introduced as a mechanic, and it gives you another option, but it doesn't force you into that option.
Gives you another fun option.
Yeah, it just gives you another option that you can use to, like, get more information out of people or get people to do what you want.
Or say mean things to them.
Yeah. Well, in this case, like, the saying mean things was the thing that we needed to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'll be interested to, like, see how they play with that. Yeah.
And design-wise, it looks great.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, very stylized. So similar to Oxenfree, but distinct.
Yeah. It's
different
like
camera.
Close-up Oxenfree.
Yeah.
It's really the best way to put it.
I played part of Oxenfree before I had to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like when we were just starting the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was about to ask you, I was like, why isn't that on my PS4? But of course, I didn't take your PS4.
Yeah.
I'm real dumb sometimes.
Well, it's on the Switch and the PS4 now, so you get it on either system.
Buy it. And support indie developers, something that I am passionate about. But I have to buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Now that I'm done with Kingdom Hearts, man, like, the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
And Persona. Both of those checked off.
It's like you have to play Nier Automata and the world ends with you, though.
I know. You're right. I do. It could be great to play something that's by Americans for once in my life. For once in my life.
Never again.
Let's see. Also, in the first day, I played, most excitingly, I was like, what did I play? But here's the big thing that I need to brag about from PAX. So PlayStation, to their credit, we really were appreciative of this system. Instead of having people queue up in like giant and hours long lines for their game demos, which is, I realize, is like a part of PAX, but also is not something that Emma and I really have the patience or stamina, or frankly, the passion about any one game, especially at this particular one, to do. Like, there were huge lines for Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like, guys, the game is out.
Yeah.
Like, it's out. You paid to be here. Like, you're gonna stand in like, think of what those 2 hours cost you.
Yeah.
Like, buy the game.
Yeah.
But whatever. So I signed up on Thursday. The sign up was very easy to do. Today, when we tried to sign up for Control?
Yeah, Control.
Right when it opened at 1 p.m., I literally, like, watched the thing tick to 1 p.m., clicked on the thing, there was nothing left.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I lucked out on Thursday to get a slot within, like, an hour and a half, but I did. For Crash Team Racing.
Woo!
Nitro-fueled.
Yep.
I couldn't remember if it was, like, Nitro car or something. Nitro-fueled.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, my most anticipated game of June 2019.
Yeah. Of 2019.
I'm excited about Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
More than Crash Team Racing.
I know less about Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Okay.
Which gives it that kind of enigma factor.
I see.
Which right now is you know, I know Crash Team Racing is going to be great, but I also sort of know what it's going to be, because that's kind of the point. I know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And there's only so much that I can force Click Boyfriend to play Crash Team Racing with me, because even he has a tolerance for me defeating him at things over and over again.
I'm sure there'll be the novelty factor of how nice it looks now, and also the new courses and stuff that they have.
True, my TV is the size of my hand. Not, like, exaggeration, but not quite.
Like 2 hands, both your hands.
Like, my hands next to each other is about the size of my television.
Yeah.
So, the graphical upgrades, well appreciated, we somewhat lost on me. Anyway, for this game, we played 2 courses, 8-person local co-op, sort of. Like, not local co-op.
I think it was probably online, but you're next to each other.
Right. Yeah, it would be wild if it was 8-person split screen.
Yeah.
That'd be wild. And anyway, yeah, guess who demolished the competition and won both tracks?
Yeah.
It was me.
Yeah.
I demolished the competition. So I'm currently wearing my Crash Team Racing do-rag, or it's like a multi-rag thing.
It's just a thing that you can put on your head.
They said you could do it as a beanie. I don't know how you would wear this as a beanie.
You tuck your hair into it.
Tuck my hair in. I guess that's weird, though. I don't want to do that. My Crash Team Racing swag that I got for winning.
Yeah, everybody got sunglasses, but Madelyn got extra stuff.
I did. I got my wristband. I got my multi-purpose cloth.
Yep, she's ready for anything.
Truly the highlight of my gaming career. The Crash Team Racing guy running it was excited for me.
He was, yeah. He was very into it when he was watching her the second round. Probably because he needed to know, like, if he was going to give you merch, if it should be celebratory.
Whatever.
But he was like, ooh.
I'm a master, basically. I mean, the trick, it's power sliding, people. The trick is knowing how to power slide.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And I wasn't even doing that good a job. But, like, here comes Tiny, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I main Tiny Tiger.
Yeah.
I'd like to make that a thing. Our Crash Team Racing mains. I hope there's an adventure mode, just like the old one.
Yeah,
where you just kind of drive around at random.
Yeah.
But yeah, the old tracks look awesome. I saw Papu's Pyramid, and I also saw Sewer Speedway while I was waiting for my turn.
Yeah, we got to like sort of watch a couple of tracks that were new also.
And the new tracks are pretty dope.
Yeah, they're pretty difficult, they look like.
The one that I played is sort of reminiscent of Oxide Station, but a little harder.
Yeah.
And then there was one called
Clockwork Wumpa.
Clockwork Wumpa, right, which looked really hard.
Yeah.
You're like jumping across gears.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like the one where you're in like the church thing, like just a little in terms of I can't remember what that one's called.
I'm
not even
either.
a true fan anymore. I can't call myself a true fan.
Just an expert.
Yeah. I don't like that track, which is why. But it's a little bit reminiscent of that, but like obviously much more beautiful and cooler. Mm-hmm. I hope that they had all of the like unlockable characters, like standard unlockable characters unlocked for this, so you could play as Papu Papu and Komodo Joe and whatever. But they didn't have like the super secret unlockable people. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if we're gonna have to unlock Komodo Joe at all also, or if they're like standard and there's gonna be new characters.
I wonder.
Like, because they didn't have frickin' the guy I've never ever unlocked in my life, time travel guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Guy you race against the time travel?
Yeah. And
they didn't have the penguin that is really a glitch.
Do they have fake Crash?
They didn't have fake Crash, you're right.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Do they have the kangaroo guy too?
Ripperoo? I don't remember. They might have. I don't think anyone played as Ripperoo.
Yeah.
But I think that they had him. Anyway, it looks sick. Everyone should get Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Really wanting them to make me like an ambassador for it. Or maybe recruit me into like an esports kind of game.
Yeah.
I feel like Crash Team Racing, we talked about this at some point on the show of like what would you play esports in? And I think I gave some kind of dumb
Stardew Valley, I think was your answer.
You're right. I guess kind of dumb BS answer. I have a real answer now. It's Crash Team Racing. I think I actually have the skill at Crash Team Racing. Although the turning was a little bit more difficult. I was feeling the Tiny Tiger turn not being so good on this more than I really feel like I do on original Crash Team Racing.
Interesting.
The news also, though, is that they're apparently also importing the Nitro Kart levels with some tweaks for Crash Team Racing mechanics, which I guess is exciting if you're into Nitro Kart, you hooligan. Who's into Nitro Kart? Nitro Kart was inferior in every single way.
Well, now it'll be better because they'll be tweaking it. You know?
You're right.
We can just do sort of like a lightning round of what else
Yeah,
we
those
played.
were the big exciting ones that we played.
Yeah.
I also played Foundation, which is kind of like I thought it was going to be more like Civilization, but it was actually sort of like Civilization if it was in the style of like Age of Empires.
Yeah.
Which was cool. I needed a little more guidance on how to work with the user interface, but it seemed like a fun game. It seems like a game that would be fun once you really got into it. It was hard when I was on the 15-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Of like, where's the build button?
Yeah.
But cool. I enjoyed it. Kind of old school.
Yeah. I also got to play Pit People from the people who make Castle Crashers, and it felt like a game from the people who made Castle Crashers.
It really did.
So, that's good. I'm not actually sure. I'm assuming it's not out, because that seemed to be like their main thing alongside the remastered Castle Crashers. But, interesting. I think the Behemoth has a very particular style. That works for them, And I also played Rad, which was the recently announced game from Double Fine and Bandai Namco. Yeah, and I don't really know what's going on with that one. I'd heard that it was announced, but I hadn't watched the trailer or read anything about it before sitting down with it. And I couldn't really. It was really pretty loud, so I couldn't hear things that were saying. But the gameplay was fun. I think there's some interesting stuff, like you get mutations as you go that sort of enhance your combat capabilities and other stuff. So I think that could be interesting in the long run.
You mean you think it could be
rad? Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Missed an opportunity there, trying to help you. Also today, we played, and this is probably for the best that I can't remember the title because I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Some kind of point and click kind of puzzle adventure game.
Yeah, it was from the publisher next to Annapurna, which I also can't remember what their name was. It started with a D.
Oh, it did start with a D.
Yeah.
Anyway, we missed sort of the intro to it, which might have helped a little, but this is just not my style of game. Really?
Yeah, she's talked about Grim Fandango
I was
before,
thinking about Grim Fandango.
where it's like an adventure game. But I played a little bit of it too, and you could figure it out eventually. It's just some quality of life stuff that was not there. I felt like the audio was still scratch audio, so they hadn't hired anyone professional to do it yet, because it didn't sound super great. And also, it would have been nice if he only commented on things once and then just went not here or nope afterwards, instead of having to repeat his lines over and over again when you make a mistake.
Yeah, that was kind of long and draining.
Yeah.
It would have been good to know what was going on and why I was trying to find the dirty toothbrush. Seems like I was going on an adventure to Elysium. You figured that out eventually.
You seemed to be leaving your girlfriend.
Right.
And or your girlfriend had left you.
She had a guillotine in her room.
Yeah.
Which he pronounced guillotine. So
well, maybe that says something about that
maybe
guy.
Maybe it's a character choice. Also indicated to me that it might be scratch audio. So that was that. It was fine. It was a perfectly adequate point and click. It's just not my genre.
Yeah, they had some other games that looked interesting, but that was just the only one that was open, which maybe also is a sign about that game.
Yeah, maybe.
And then we went to the booth next door and we watched somebody play Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is a game I'm interested in looking at. I was hoping we could play it, but people were sitting on it for a long time.
Yeah, that guy played 20 levels.
Yeah.
It felt like that.
I mean, to be fair, something has a 15-minute time limit. He didn't play it more than 15 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
But it also feels like the kind of game that should have a 5-minute demo. He got the idea. It
changed up. I bet once he beat those bosses that he was on, that would have been
maybe
the end of the demo.
You're right. Anyway, it was super cool. like it felt like if you took Persona and made I just say made like a rhythm game out of it, but that already exists. And made like a psychedelic racing game.
Yeah.
Out of it, but it's not like a racing game.
It's like an endless runner, but also a rhythm game. But it's got some sick beats to it.
Yeah.
Also,
it was pretty mesmerizing. Usually, I don't love like sitting and watching random people play games.
Yeah.
But it's pretty mesmerizing to watch this one. Is this one out?
Not yet.
Cool.
Should be coming out this year though.
That's what everyone was saying about their games.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it was pretty cool. Pretty cool to get that kind of a teaser for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah.
So early in the game. Roxas' skateboard. Redux.
I would play that. I would play Roxas' Skateboard Redux mobile game.
Don't speak that into the universe.
Nomura, money-making opportunity. Endless runner, Roxas on a skateboard.
Tony Hawkwitsu.
Oh, man.
Now, talk to the people who made Disney Extreme Skate Adventure.
Interesting. That's true.
And you might have a hit on your hands. Actually, literally, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, that's another skating game. But of course, it's literally Disney.
Yeah.
Can we bring back Disney Extreme Skate Adventure?
Nomura, where's my Kingdom Hearts Extreme Skate Adventure, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're not busy right now, like, doing things, you know.
He wasn't at PAX, so what could he have been doing? We'll go visit when we're in Japan.
Some stupid project called Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
God, who cares?
So that's mostly what we played at PAX.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the things that we saw.
Yeah.
And did.
Because we also did some learning. We did some learning.
We did some learning. And some buying things.
Yeah.
Both of those things. Let's start out with an opening quote from standing in line outside of the venue. Quote, "And that's when I found out my dad has a butt chin." From a man with a beard who is very upset about having butt chin genes.
But what is a butt chin gene?
It's genetic.
Oh, gene. Sorry.
Not like pants.
That's what I
Moron.
had assumed.
Oh, I forgot to talk about Lost and Hound.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. It's an accessible game. Great idea. I had a really hard time with it. Indicates to me that I might have hearing issues. Should probably go get that checked out.
Yeah.
But it had a dog in it, so
We had to try
thumbs
it.
up. So we started off after our morning wandering the expo, doing such things as demolishing everyone in the universe at CTR.
Yeah.
We went to a panel on NPC relationships.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah. I occasionally I knew Emily Grace Buck just because of the Telltale thing.
Right.
And following all the
I thought her name seemed familiar.
people on Twitter and everything. And there was also a guy who made Divinity 2, or Divinity 2, whatever the subtitle is, that everybody really liked, I think, last year or the year before. And who was the last person?
There's another woman.
Yeah.
Because there have been a lot of women on panels, which has been cool.
Yeah, it's been cool.
I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly what she made.
Oh, was this the one with Boyfriend Dungeon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other actual panelist had also done some, like, big Assassin's Creed and stuff.
Yes, you're right.
But, yeah, it was interesting to hear them. It was a lot more of, like, a writing process thing than I had been thinking it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But that was still interesting. Like, I'm interested in that. Made me want to play the Batman Telltale series a little bit.
Seriously, she talked so much about, and I said that in a way that was like, oh my god, she talked so much. But she talked so much about like, the process of creating that, which was in, like, how they came up with Joker and all that stuff, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, like, I had no like, desire to play the Batman Telltale series before that point. Like, when it came out, I was like, oh, that's neat. But I wasn't interested in it. But now I'm somewhat interested in it, you know? Maybe give it a check out.
Yeah.
It was interesting to hear, like, how they write things and the amount of detail that is in, like, Divinity 2.
It
like,
sounded insane.
Oh my god.
And now he's talking about something even more complex.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, you know, the idea of, like, most people are mortal, so you can kill them off over the course of the story, but then story events still need to happen, whether they're there or not, so you have to make allowances for that. So, like, how a story can work even when, like, players are different.
Right.
And you won't know.
And there are origin events that you can trigger, but they have to trigger differently if you're playing the character, or if it's, like, a companion, or if they're dead.
Yeah.
So...
And save the cat.
Oh my god, Save the Cat was so funny. We should tell this anecdote. It was so funny.
Yeah, so he was talking about how in Divinity 2, they had some sort of quest with a cat that...
Like a witch. There was some kind of, like, magical...
Yeah, there's some sort of quest
that got... It was someone's familiar.
Yeah, that got cut. But the cat from the quest was still there, and it sort of follows you near the beginning of the game. And then there's a point where guards shoot it, just to show you, like, you know...
The guards are bad.
Yeah.
Like, they made that decision because, like, the guards are evil.
Yeah, the literal, like, kick the puppy moment of the screenplay. And then... I guess it was out in, like, beta or whatever, and everybody on the forums was suddenly discussing, like, how do we save the cat? Can you save the cat? Figured out a way. And so they decided to just go with it, and when you save the cat, you get access to, like, new skills.
Yeah, all sorts of, like, game-breaking skills.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, you can, like, switch places with the cat, you can, like, fly. It was wild. There was a similar story about Assassin's Creed and the smuggle guards.
Yeah.
And how there's some kind, like, she says, like, oh, like, I wrote all the side quests, right?
Yeah.
And, like, it gets really boring to write the side quests eventually, because they're basically the same thing over and over again. So you try to find some dialogue for the guards that isn't just, like, let me get home to my wife and sick child.
Yeah.
Right? And so she had two guards that were, or they weren't guards, they were smugglers.
Yeah.
Because you were, like, stealing from the smugglers.
They were smuggler guards.
Right, sure. They were like smuggler guards, and you're stealing from the smugglers, and they were just talking the whole time about how weird the word smuggle is. And evidently this spawned a lot of fondness for these guards, and people figuring out ways to complete the mission without killing them at all costs.
Which she said apparently she didn't even know was possible,
yeah.
So...
but also it's something that she was like, yeah, no idea how they localized that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also interesting.
Who knows what the word smuggle sounds like, if it sounds just as weird in other languages. Anyway, after that, we played a bunch of games, Foundation, Rad, etc. You heard about those. And then we went to a panel on whether loot boxes are ethical. Mm-hmm. Which I expected it to be much more of a topic of debate among the panel than I feel like it actually was.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed to be, like, the consensus was, like, they can be, but not all companies are necessarily taking the appropriate ethical steps. And I appreciated that he really laid out what he meant by ethical, the moderator.
Yeah.
Instead of just, because I was worried it was going to devolve into, like, you know, people being like, well, I don't like loot boxes. I think loot boxes are fine,
yeah.
Right? When that's not necessarily the, like, your personal preference was not necessarily the question.
Yeah. No, I appreciated the philosophical approach.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't text him, but I should have. I was like, Socrates to the great boyfriend. Not that he's really not into ethics, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really great to lay out those terms so fully at the beginning, because I think it did minimize... Like, the questions were still kind of dumb, as questions always are at these, but, like...
all these questions... Every panel has had some kind of dumb questions.
There's been, like, one question that's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are like, how do I get into the games industry?
Yeah.
But it was interesting, and I don't know, I think they were even more, not positive, but even more allowance, giving more allowance than you described.
Yeah.
But I don't actually even think they said that any companies that were doing it were really doing it in an unethical way. Mm-hmm. Like, they weren't taking proactive steps to be incredibly fair, like, to be as ethical as they could. Mm-hmm. But it seemed, at least from this discussion, from these folks who are all, you know, from Take This and from the International Game Developers Association and...
I Thrive.
Yeah, who we've seen her before.
Yeah.
At Games for Change. And the moderator was from DraftKings, but formerly the game world. Yeah. The actual game world, not the sports ball world. You know, they were definitely, like, people that are doing actual research on this as much as possible, although, as they said, it's really difficult to do research on loot boxes.
Yeah.
Because no one will give anyone data on it.
Yeah.
And as the moderator laid out, you have to run, like... 1 million tests.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go through it, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of times before you see if it's working correctly.
Yeah.
So even if you as a player sort of feel like, even after doing a pretty large sample size, even if you as a player feel like it's not fair, you'd have to do thousands before it shook out.
Yeah.
So I do think that the points that they made were that, you know, it should be very clear how much money that you've spent on the game, and it should be very clear what your odds are.
Yeah.
Are good points.
Yeah. And I think, I don't really know how it comes from ethics, but from a moral standpoint, the idea of, like, not specifically marketing to children is another thing that, you know, should be done.
Yeah, well, and they were very clear about that as well. And also, I was sort of surprised about, well, no, I wasn't surprised, but sort of surprised about how strongly they came out against, like, manipulating the drop rates.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, not cool, not fair, but as long as they're upfront about it, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, if they're upfront about it, I mean, whatever, no one would ever do this because it would be terrible business. But as long, hypothetically, if someone was upfront about the fact that, like, hey, if you spend more money, I'm gonna lower your drop rate so you'll spend even more money.
Yeah.
I don't see anything inherently unethical about that. It's bad business.
Yeah.
If you have, especially if you're gonna do the ethical thing and be upfront.
I think they said, like, it's when you obfuscate it.
Yeah. Obfuscate it.
Obfuscate it. Stop my brain.
But yeah, interesting panel. Until it's evolved into someone telling their own personal story.
Yeah.
Which is, like, it was sad. Of course it's sad.
I feel like if you're telling your own personal story, that's something you catch them afterwards to talk about. Like, that's not a question. That's something to, like, discuss with them.
Well, she was trying to ask, like, how do you create a voice for the voiceless? But I also don't feel like everyone knows that there are some people that this happens to.
Yeah.
But also everyone knows that there are some people that get addicted to pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Like, I can name anything, and there will be someone who has used it in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it struck me, like, I came in sort of thinking, like, oh, I don't really know where I stand on loot boxes. Like, I think that they're not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't dig them. They also don't really come into play that much in games that are typically what I play.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting to sort of have it clarified and really sort of hear, oh yeah, you know, as long as everyone's doing it fairly, whatever. But yeah, I don't really think it's the business's responsibility to put systems in place to prevent people from spending a ton of money.
Yeah. Then we went to horror games and the art of betrayal, which unfortunately was more of like a career summary for the speaker, who was the guy who made Betrayal on
At the House on the
Hill and Apocrypha, and other games that I had heard of from my game development classes.
Look at you.
But I had hoped to be talking about, like, actually, like, how Betrayal makes horror games work. But it really just became just sort of like, we made this, and then we made this, and then we made this.
Yeah.
And
he talked about it in very general terms.
Yeah.
And, well, he sort of talked about what a horror game isn't.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
To be like, it's not just a game that has creepy monsters. It's not just a game that
has blood.
Right?
Yeah.
It's actually has to be a game where something unexpected happens.
Yeah.
But, so that was interesting. My funny note is that we skipped the panel on avoiding burnout.
Yeah.
In order to eat.
Yes.
So I feel like we made the right call there.
Yeah.
After the horror games panel, we stopped briefly into the sound design live panel, which, again, Emma said this, and she is right, that it would have been cooler if we'd been able to stay till the end. We had to go to a concert, so wah wah, we're too cool. But the beginning part, even, where he sort of laid out how he did the Foley for an actual sound effect for a game,
I liked how
cool.
he played all the different sounds that was in, like, this one, like, attack animation. It was very interesting.
Foley really always seems like just a really cool job. And I know it must be really, really difficult, and you must do a lot of hitting things and not getting the sound you want. Yeah. But it sounds really cool.
Yeah. I've done it a little in sound design classes, and yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm sure it's easier when you can, like, go out and about and, you know, do whatever you want. But when you're just in your dorm room and you're like, oh God, what do I have? It's a little bit stressful. Yeah, and that was Thursday.
Yeah. So the next day, we got there a little earlier, which was nice. We started off with Inside the Voice Actors Studio, which was a cool panel. It was a cool group of people with a really diverse array of video game experience, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't talk more about, like, how much it sucks.
Yeah.
I get that they are all quite successful.
Yeah.
or too early in their careers to really like coming from a YouTube, you know, like that one guy was like a YouTuber who's now a voice actor. But I was surprised that there wasn't more discussion of how many companies really take advantage of voice actors.
Yeah.
Because they really painted a really rosy picture.
They are all union.
That's true.
Which they talked about, like, a little, but mostly in context of questions of, like, I'm union, and sometimes people won't hire me, or I'm not union, and sometimes people won't hire me.
Like,
what do I do?
That's the business, buddy.
So they're all union, so I'm sure they have some measure of protection, right?
When she was like, I won't, like, they offered me $75 an hour.
Yeah.
I was like, sign me up.
No. I mean, no.
$75 an hour?
Not when you're, like, a professional that has done things, you know?
I get that. I know. But also...
But I thought it was interesting when she mentioned, like, the union has, like, this new indie game contract that's more workable and affordable for indie games, but that's, like, below, like, spending $1.5 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, if they're spending $1.5 million budget, like, they should be paying you more, which seemed to be fair to me.
It's hard. I don't know. I don't really know the economics of games, but as a person who produces theater and deals with the acting union there, it's... Like that one guy that asked a question where he was talking about, like, you know, when I'm union and people hear that I'm union, they won't hire me. It's like, I get that on some level. Thank God Actors Equity has a code that allows me to pay union actors stipends in exchange for some restrictions. Because, I mean, we would never, ever be able to hire... Despite the fact that, you know, we operate in a relatively professional way, I would never, ever be able to pay someone like the union minimum. Never, ever.
I mean, I'm sure that's why they have this new indie game thing.
Yeah. I wonder what it is.
Well, you can look it up. I think it's probably on the website.
You're right. I should look it up. I'm interested. Because, again, I mean, I don't know how long it takes on average to record, like, a voice for a game. Like a main character voice or whatever. But $75 an hour for someone who's, like, developing it on their own... like even just as like that's probably not what it costs, but I don't know, feels like steep. But I also don't know anything about the economics of, I mean, not that it's not fair. I'm not saying it's not, like, obviously it's 100% fair. I feel very bad frequently about the hourly wage that it works out to for the performers that I work with, right? But also I get paid nothing, so it makes me feel a little better. Anyway, it was interesting. It was interesting to get that viewpoint on it from people that are very successful and probably don't face so much of the BS that we sort of heard about last year with the strike. Yeah.
I mean, I tend to notice, like, once you're, like, into a voice acting industry, like, that you're able to stay there pretty comfortably and get roles and stuff. So, you know, once you're in, you're in. It's just a matter of, like, actually getting there and doing the work that you want to. But they had some interesting stories about, like, actual good experiences where they, like, worked with writers and were sort of characters were written around their voice in some ways, and it was more like a progression thing. Like, Sissy Jones said she worked on Firewatch for 2 years recording voice stuff, and somebody did the female player voice in Fallout 4 and said that took a long time, too. So that's interesting.
It was interesting that some of their bad experiences were played for laughs, though. Like, the frog woman anecdote, where all day she had to, like, hold water in her mouth and play the frog woman and just, like, spit everywhere. That's horrifying. You walked in, and, like, she told it as if, like, she walked in and no one had told her about it. Like, it was like, here's how you're gonna do it. It's like, let me call my union rep. Because I don't know. It's just, like, I get it. It's, like, whatever. It's not, like, super harmful in that case. It's not like it's gonna hurt you to do that. Well, except that she, like, drowned herself multiple times. I don't know. It was interesting that, and great that there are people that are in a point in their careers where they can have those kinds of experiences and be like, LOL, like, what a weird day at work today. Whereas if you're, like, a non-union, non-established person, like, getting asked to do that when you walk in, it might feel very different. Anyway, it was a very interesting panel. Yeah. After that, We had some good panels on Friday morning.
Yeah.
I think we went to one about the relationship between indie developers and publishers.
Yeah.
And spoiler, you don't need it. Publishers are sort of obsolete, but not really because they're helpful.
Yeah. It's basically what I took away from it is like you don't need a publisher in no sense, but that people who work as publishers have a different skill set than developers. So if you don't have anyone on your team who's willing to do the publishing work, then it might be helpful to have a publisher to do things for you. So like sales and marketing and all sorts of stuff, it can be helpful. Although if you just want marketing, there's also just PR firms too.
I empathize with this one a lot too, from the theatrical standpoint. I feel like it's very similar. Like, of course, you can kind of self-produce your own work if you're a writer, but wouldn't you rather focus on writing your play?
Yeah.
Than having to like rent rehearsal space.
Yeah. I've heard sort of this sentiment a little bit from indie developers over my time at Northeastern of like it's all a matter of like how much you want to split your focus and like doing stuff. So like somebody Rami Ismail or something, not Rami Ismail, Rami something, like made like the press kit, whatever you say when there's the 2 parentheses or whatever, so that indie developers could just fill in their press kit and have it, basically, right? Like trying to make it easier for them to do some sort of marketing on their own so that they don't have to just like drop everything working on their game to do marketing, which is honestly a full-time job, especially
Seriously.
like in this market. So like if you don't want to hire somebody to your company to do your marketing, like you could go to a publisher or PR firm or something like that.
Or you can hire Emma.
Nope.
If somebody wanted to pay you to like actually pay you, bring you onto the team to do it, you'd say no.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't want to be a marketer.
Fair enough.
Like 0%.
Fair enough.
Never want to touch social media for a company ever again.
Fair enough. And then after that, one last panel for the day on Friday, we went to this Breaking Into the Industry, games industry panel, which gave us such gems as have a resume.
Yeah. It was all, like, it's all helpful things, but it's also all things that I had heard before.
I do think it was better than many of the panels in various industries I've heard on this sort of topic before, and that they were willing to sort of be real about, like, it's annoying if you follow up a lot, or, like, please don't waste our time, or please wear a shirt when you're in the company conference call, that kind of thing. And it was interesting to sort of hear them, like somebody actually admit that they don't read cover letters.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, Emma's a smart person.
Yeah,
so.
I thought it was also interesting, and this seemed to be more for people trying to change careers, but that they didn't really care for, like, a one-page resume. Like, if you have 15 years of experience, they want to see your 15 years of experience.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to me.
I think the world is trending more and more towards that, more and more towards 2-page resumes being okay. Because, like, otherwise, I don't know, whenever I'm trying to fit my resume, I mean, whatever, like, I shouldn't have a 2-page resume, I get it, I'm a child, but sometimes I do, and whenever I'm trying to fit it all into one page, I'm like, ugh, it's annoying, like, let's make it 11.2 font, and how wide can I make the margins, and blah, blah, blah. I mean,
there is, like, our generation is more likely to have more jobs than before, so when you have more jobs, you need more space, right? Yeah. It's not like, oh, I worked 30 years at this company doing various roles.
I've had, like, 5 relevant internships in the past, like, 14 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I would love to show all of these and not have it look like I just bummed around after I finished college in Miami for a year. But not if it's all going to fit on one page.
Yeah. And then we did some sweet, awesome stuff on Saturday, but unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh, man. You're right. The cannolis are waiting.
Yeah. It's Sunday at noon, so...
We have to go get more cannolis.
Yeah. Delicious.
So folks, thanks for tuning in for this special edition of Talk This.
It's Dangerous Podcast Alone.
PAX at PAX
East 2019.
Hashtag. We've been glad to have you. If you've been glad to have us, you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talk This Podcast, and we're on YouTube at Talk This Sisters. On YouTube, you can catch the Play This series, which will have a new one coming out in the next couple of weeks, where Emma analyzes video games as storytelling. Not video games as storytelling. Of course, video games have storytelling. Gameplay as storytelling. Hey, if you're also interested in gameplay as storytelling and you'll happen to be in the DC metro area on April 18th? 17th? Sometime in that realm, whatever the Thursday is. 18th, whatever the Thursday is of that week. You should catch us at the Pop Culture Association conference, where we'll be giving a talk about gameplay mechanics and how you can use them to support narrative.
Yep.
It's going to be great. We've had great productive conversations about that this weekend. Also, if you're interested in the show and you can't see us IRL, you should check us out on our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can see a full list of episodes, plus our blog. It's been a little dormant lately, but I'm pretty sure, feel like I keep saying this, but this week I really mean it. I'm pretty sure that Clickbait Boyfriend and Split Screen will make their triumphant returns, along with blogs coming up on Kingdom Hearts 3. I might start my 120 thoughts at 120 hours on Persona 5. It's going to be great, so check out the blog, check out the website in general, give us suggestions for games to put in the hat. And if you also like the show, I've got a lot of other places to direct you. You should subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and coming someday, Pandora. You can find us wherever podcasts are downloaded, so if your favorite podcast client isn't on that list, we're probably there. But if not, hey, drop us a line at talktous@talkthispodcast.com or DM us on your social media channel of choice.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be back to our main quest episodes, where we'll talk about a game, one old and one new. My brain is dripping out my ears, so those titles are certainly not available to me now. I can't remember them on a normal week. Certainly cannot remember them in the midst of my PAX-induced brain liquefaction.
Yes.
But it's going to be a great episode. You should definitely tune in and check it out. So I think that brings me to the end of this side quest.
Yeah, it does.
Should I sign off? Should you sign off?
You can go ahead and sign off.
Ooh, okay. I hope... I'm trying to come up with a PAX pun. I can't do it. I'm too tired. I hope you have PAX of fun this week.